Hey everyone, it's Lyndsay with Smooth Sailing Business Growth with Marketing and Merlot. And you're probably wondering, oh, Lyndsay Anderson looks a little bit different tonight, doesn't she? She is actually running a couple of minutes behind. She is stuck in traffic. But if you've been paying attention, then you will know that we have a guest tonight. Woohoo! And I'll give you the scoop on him. First, I'll let you know about our show. So Lyndsay Anderson and I get together every Thursday night, 6 PST, 9 EST. We have wine and we chat about marketing, and we have a lot of laughs and we have a lot of fun and we really enjoy it. So welcome to Marketing and Merlot. So the other wonderful gentleman that you see on the screen then is Janal. He is author, speaker. Here's a couple of cool things about him is that he has interviewed President Gerald R. Ford and First Lady Barbara Bush. He was on the PR team that launched AOL. And he's written this wicked book called Write Your Book in a Flash. So this is the awesome Janal, and I will let him kind of explain a little bit more about who he is and what he does.
Cool,
Yay!
Thanks. Yay! Hey,
I know. Well, Lyndsay Anderson has sound effects on her phone, so she would give the little cheer right now, but I don't have the funky sound effects.
Okay. We'll edit that in later, I guess. Hey, it's really great being on it. Really great being on a show where both hosts have the same name. So
I know.
There's no mistaking. Like, oh, did this person say that? Did the other person say that?
I know.
So when you've done as many interviews as I have over the years, it's like it gets confusing. And when you do multiple interviews in a day, you wonder, like, am I talking to Dom or am I talking to Jill?
I know.
Where am I? What time zone am I in? So it's really great to be here. And this is our second chat, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Because I like helping people write books, and you like helping people market their books and market everything. So it's a great meetings of the minds. There's Lyndsay. I bet there's Lyndsay.
There's
Hi,
the
Lyndsay.
other girl. There's
Did somebody say sound effects?
I know. Give the cheer.
Oh no. I'm late. Hold on. Everybody hold on. Yeah, hold on. Welcome, by the way. Oh, let him finish talking. I have ads. I'm sorry. My app is giving me ads.
Oh, that's all right.
In a minute. Oh, here we go. For Dan.
Wow, thank you. It's great to be here. There's so many smiling faces. There's like 20,000 people out there in the auditorium here. Wow, this is fantastic. Wow, what an ovation.
Dan loves it. He loves it. I'm eating us up. Dan, I hate to tell you, but they're not real. It's a sound effect. Okay? I'm sorry.
Is anything real? Hey, we're talking about marketing, right?
No, that's true. Amen.
Speaking of marketing, I found this great new app today that shows how many books have been sold. So you can go to Amazon and you have this little doohickey in the corner, and you click on the doohickey and it shows you how many books were sold by that person. So there are people out there who say, I'm a best-selling author. So I figured, like, okay, let me see how best-selling they really are. So I use this thing and I go to their author page and it shows me like all their titles and like 1 book, 2 books, 4 books a month, 3 books a month. It's like, gee, that's pretty sad.
Is that just like the hard copy books like the people pay, or is it KDP, or is it everything?
It's everything. It's Kindle,
okay.
It's hardcover.
Okay, that makes me feel better that he's not going to make fun of me, because I get a lot of downloads, but I don't get a lot of like hard copy sales. So, yay.
Oh. Yeah, well, I'm not here to sell a product or anything like that. I know.
I was just wondering.
It's like you can find out who's really real. Because you know, one of the things that I just saw on my PR Leads feed the other day is some major magazine is doing an article on, are influencers real? Because apparently there are a lot of fake influencers out there who say they have lots and lots of followers, but they bought those followers. So this magazine might be US News and World Report or someone like that. They're actually doing an article to find out how can you spot the fake influencers from people who really have millions and millions of true followers. So
I love it.
A little marketing sleight of hand there.
Do we need to say hello to everybody? Yeah, Glenn, Steven, Ted, and Peg. Wonderful Peg. Another great topic. Can't wait for this evening, says Peg. Welcome. Uh-oh, where did Lyndsay go?
I just got booted out.
I don't know.
Oh, hey! Hey!
I dropped out. What happened? Oh dear. So you just came on when I of course introduced Dan a little bit, but I wanted Dan to talk more about his book, how to write a book in a flash and what he does. So we can.
What is a flash? What do you consider a flash? Like, most people take 2 or 3 years. Are you saying you're going to cut that down by a year or what?
Definitely by a year.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
A lot of people. That's a really good question. And I didn't think about it when I titled the book. I might have thought about it differently. Thank you very much. You're a superb editor. Thank you. But it really depends on other people, because you can literally write a book in 90 days if you really have your mind set on it, or you could take a year or 6 months or whatever, because people have jobs and people have responsibilities and people have kids and on and on and on. And people have excuses. That's the worst thing.
Amen. That is the answer.
Write a book. There's no flash involved here. In fact, that's why I devoted. Yeah, that's why I devoted a whole chapter of my book to overcoming those limiting beliefs and excuses that people have that stop them from writing books. In fact, I was just doing some exploring today, and there are all these apps that you can get to motivate you and kick you in your butt. One is called like Write or Die.
No.
It like freezes up your screen. So I have this like little computer animations and like a timer, and you set the timer. You say, I only want to write
every day for 30 minutes today. Or something. Yeah.
Exactly. I want to write like for 15, whatever it is. And you have this little countdown timer, and you see like, this guy, like, I haven't played with the app, so I don't know exactly how it works, but you cannot do anything for that set period of time except write that book. You can't go to Facebook.
I need that.
It's really, I'll send you a link.
I love it.
It's really cool. And what happens if you don't do it, if you don't meet your time? I don't know if your computer explodes or what, but it gamifies writing. So if you make it fun, it's fun. Now, when you get beyond those things, I have a procedure. I mean, to me, writing a book should be simple. And I subtitled the book, The Paint by Numbers System for Writing Your Book Quickly.
Nice.
And remember when you were a kid and you had a paint by numbers system, and you see this white canvas with these little blue lines on it, and there's a farm, and you see a barn and cows, but they're not drawn in yet, but they have little numbers on them. So you take the number 13 and you draw in some green grass. And you take number 12 and have the red roof on the barn. And you take number 6 and you have this gray side and you paint in the silo. And before you know it, you have a picture done. And it's not that you're the world's greatest artist or anything, but you followed the rules, you stayed within the lines, and after a period of time, you had yourself a good-looking picture. Well, I think a book is the same way. So if you start with a really detailed outline and you stick to it, you will be able to write your book really, really fast, because you'll have a roadmap. You'll have a game plan. So the first thing is to write. Am I getting too deep here? Is this too heavy for people?
Keep on going.
Okay, great. So I like to start with, say, 10 chapters, because everything is divisible by 10. So if you want to write 20,000 words, each chapter divided by 10 is, 2,000 words. That's easy. So if people online, you'll probably write 2,000 words in a blog without even thinking. So no problem. Okay, so we have 10 chapters. The first chapter tells them what you're going to tell them. The last chapter tells them how they can work with you, because I think books should be a big business card. So the last chapter is like, they know, like, and trust you now. So let's see how we can engage them. And those middle chapters answer the 8 questions that people have, so they want to hire you. So you do some research and say, hey, what are 8 problems that my clients have or my prospects have? Then you dive deep into those chapters. So you say, okay, my clients have this problem. Let's illustrate that with a story. So I came up with an acronym called Describers. And I won't go into all of it now, because I don't know when I'm going to get to be boring here. But each letter stands for something else, like your signature story, or statistics, or an anecdote, or cartoons, or artwork. And if you follow those things, like, gee, what am I going to put in this chapter? And you look at each of those 10 describers, which is a good Scrabble word, by the way, then you'll have your book done. So, and here's the other cool thing. Some people think you have to start from the first chapter and go to the last chapter, all in order. Wrong. Do whatever you feel like doing. It's like everyone has biorhythms. Some days you have good days, some days you have bad days, some days you want to tackle something really difficult, and other days you just want to veg out and do something simple. Well, I'm here to give you permission to do the simple stuff whenever you want to do the simple stuff, and do the hard stuff whenever you do the hard stuff, because no one who reads your book knows the order in which you wrote the book. They just know that you have the book. That's true. So that's the cool thing. That's the book in a nutshell. Yeah.
So biggest, sorry, Lyndsay, do you want to go? Yeah. Lyndsay?
Oh, I just, when Dan, you were on my podcast show, I loved because I have this issue where I don't know I can't pull stories out of my head. You got to like illustrate things with stories. And so Dan had some great advice on like how to pull those stories out of yourself, because you can get writer's block on that. I don't remember stories.
Or you don't think they're interesting to people or something.
Yeah, totally.
Stories are always interesting. Always. I think it's impossible to tell a boring story. And you need stories because people remember the stories. I mean, the Bible is written like stories. You know, people say, don't do this, don't do that. People remember that stuff. But if you have a story attached to it, then suddenly people can wrap their arms around and say, it's good. So I have this client. I do book developmental editing, which basically means that someone else writes the book and they show me the book and they say what's wrong with the book. And I used to be a newspaper editor, so I can say, oh, you missed this, or you buried this story here, or this movie is here, or this there. Anyway, so his book was really long on ideas and research, and 3.5 pages on the history of flow and why you're in a flow state. It's like, boring. So I said, you need some stories. And you said, just like you, Lyndsay. This is good.
I know.
Lyndsay. Yeah, Lyndsay on the right. Yeah, Lyndsay with an A. So Lyndsay said, I just like you said, I can't tell a story. I don't know any stories. And I said, okay, I know you don't, but if you could, what would a story be? I picked that up from Tony Robbins. Hint, hint, hint. So I'll say that again.
Little devil.
Exactly. I know you can't, but if you could, what would you do? And, bingo, he says, well, there was this time when I was the director of publicity for Scholastic Publications, and we had this new author named Rowling, and she had this new book coming out called Harry Potter, and I assigned my my publicity assistant to work with her on that book series, and she was really new and didn't have the confidence to do it. And I said, well, you can do it because of A, B, C, and D, and you can do it because of this, that, and the other thing, and you can do it because you really like science fiction, and blah, blah, blah. And she said, I think you're right. Now I have the confidence to do that. So let me take this on, and I will do the PR for the Harry Potter book. Now, do you believe that? This is a true story. He was the PR guy for Harry Potter. He mentored the person who spearheaded the entire campaign, and she couldn't have done it without him. So suddenly we had a great story. In fact, it turned out to be the lead story in the whole book.
I ran into her on the street once.
If people don't read anything but that story, they're going to say, I like this guy. I want to work with him. This is great. I don't have to read the rest of the book. I got my thing done, and that's the purpose of the book, to get business. I think books are big business cards, and people buy books or read books for one reason, and that is because they want to solve a problem. And they may not even read the entire book. They may just go to chapter 5 because that's what they need. And if you solve their problem, then cool. They want to work with you. They want to hire you, and that's the whole purpose of the book. So that's it in a nutshell.
And Dan's not lying. I literally today just got an email from a guy. Hey, I read your book. And get me on your calendar. Like, it totally works. I mean, just as simple as that,
Cool. What do you do in your book to engage people so they want to interact with you? Do you have any?
You mean like the final chapter? The final chapter?
Well, everyone does things differently. I'm looking for different tips here.
I don't know if I have any tips. I wouldn't call myself a professional. I just recently wrote a book. That's my professionalism on the topic. But
and you got clients from it, so that makes you a pro.
That's true, actually. So definitely just calls to action to most of it is calls to action to get into a private free Facebook group where I'm out there kind of nurturing people. So that seems to work pretty good.
Cool. Other people have phone conversations or Skype conversations or downloadable PDFs, the whole page capture magnet system. Any of those things are good. You can use any of them, all of them. It doesn't matter, whatever fits into your business plan is what you should do, so that people feel comfortable and get to know, like, and trust you. That's what the book is all about.
Can you share too, Dan, the different types of books that you can write? Because that was really eye-opening for me, because I think people have like a set idea in their head of what their book should look like or be like. Like at first I thought it had to be like a how-to. And you're like, you don't have to run through all of them, but kind of give us a handful, because that was, I think that's great information.
Sure. Everyone thinks that the book like Good to Great or In Search of Excellence or one of those true bestseller books that are 300 pages, whatever, that was great in their day, but no one wants to read 300 pages anymore. And
No.
look at, Who Moved My Cheese? It's about 70 pages. I was at a conference recently, and the keynote speaker gave out his book, and it was about, this size, about the size of my iPad, literally that thin. And he was a great speaker, hysterically funny, and he asked for questions afterwards. And I held up the book, and I said, thank you for giving us your book. It's very kind of you. And he said, thank you. And I just have one question for you. It's like really small, and I don't mean that in a negative way. And I said that like, I really don't mean that negative, but like, it's really, really small. It has lots of pictures, it has little stories, it has pages with just a quote on it and stuff like, is this the future of books? And he said, it sure is.
Interesting.
Yeah, because this is a book for frontline service personnel. The person working at a hotel or McDonald's, whatever. You want to give them a book and a training thing that they're going to read. And this is right at that level. We're not talking down to people. They're fun, inspiring stories there. The stories are just, a couple of hundred words. They don't need all the science and the background and the theory. No one does. Even executives who are getting on a plane don't want to read a 300-page book. It's off-putting. They want to pick up a book in New York and get on the plane. By the time they're in LA, they want to be done with the book. So I think there are a couple of different kinds of books, going from like the easiest to a little bit more complicated, but it's not that complicated.
Let's just say a quick hi, sorry to
hey,
Mike.
What's up?
Hey,
Everyone's Mike.
He's a workers' comp renegade, and I know he's going to be writing a book in the near future. So this is good advice for him.
Cool. Well, Mike, if you've been blogging for a couple of years, you might have a book inside you already. So if you have like 150 blog posts, you can probably take those and cut out the ones that are no longer relevant, or the ones that are duplicative, or the ones that just don't float your boat anymore, or the ones that Congress says this isn't a law anymore, and throw those out and see what you have left. And you can create a book from that. You create like maybe 5 different chapters or 10 different chapters on 10 different topics. So you already have the material. You might have to re-edit it in some way and make it flow a little bit more. But that's the content of the book. If people out here are speakers and they have transcripts, you can turn those transcripts into chapters in your book too. So you might have more content than you really think. And we're really looking here for maybe 20, 25,000, maybe 30,000 words. That'll get you a 200-page book, which is more than enough. Anything from 127
sounds
to
better
200.
than 3,000 or 30,000 words.
Yeah, okay. I'll remember that. Thank you. Yeah, but if you want to go on like a really hey, I'm in San Diego. I'm not in San Diego now, but I'm in San Diego for part of the winter too. So anyway, cool. Yeah, you can have a book of quotes. Have you ever picked up these books and they're people's quotes? Yeah, and they're not just quotes from Sherlock Holmes or Edgar Allan Poe or something. They're actually your quotes. So go back through your blog posts, maybe even your tweets, and take out 100 or 200 tweets, put 2 on a page, put little lines underneath each of them so people can write notes. And you might think this is cheesy, but it really isn't. I know a publishing company that only publishes these kinds of books, and they sent me a few of them because, frankly, it sounded a little bit cheesy to me. And then I started reading them. It's like, there's some really good ideas here. So in 140 words, you can get a lot of ideas across, and it was pretty amazing. So I was a fan of the quote book. So there are a lot of different ways you can go on this. If you don't like to write, you can dictate. You can talk into your iPhone. That. You can upload the file and have it transcribed and turn that into a book. And if you don't have time to actually write the book, you can hire a ghostwriter or an editor like me, and we can just turn it into better looking stuff that looks professional. So books are a lot easier than you think.
I love that. And of course, Mike says that me and my team will be helping him with his blogs and podcasts and all that good content. We're going to be juicing it out huge in the next 6 months. Right, Mike?
Juicing it out? Is that a phrase?
I don't know. It just came out. It was really weird. You ever get that where like something comes out of your mouth?
I mean, like it sounded good, and then I was like, "Oh, I wonder if that's a Canadian thing." So it sounded legit.
Yeah, let's say it's legit.
Yeah, I like it. Lyndsay,
I would trademark it anyway, and make sure
I make my own phrases, and people look at me weird. I'm like, I've got my own dictionary. I like it.
I have a question for you, Dan. I feel like one reason why people don't write books is because they don't feel like they have a lot of mindset issues around that. Can you address that for the audience?
What do you mean by mindset issues?
Like they don't think that they deserve to write a book, or they don't think they're good enough at their craft to write a book. Do you run into stuff like that?
Yeah, I have a whole chapter on that. In fact, if you want to download that chapter, this is a special freebie for anyone listening to the show today. Go to my website, writeyourbookinaflash.com, and you'll see this pop-up thing pop up, and you can download a chapter of my book that addresses that very issue. Every excuse I ever heard on why you're not writing a book, we address it there. So a lot of people have what we call the imposter syndrome, and this means that I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, there's someone better than me who can do this. And yeah, there are, but they're not writing the book. So why not you? And this isn't just related to people who say like, well, I went to I didn't go to Harvard. There are people who went to Harvard who have the imposter syndrome. There are people who are CEOs making bazillion dollars that have the imposter syndrome. It's like a real psychological issue. Google it, and you'll see it's people just never feel like they can achieve it all, so they don't. Yeah. So it gets into procrastination and all that sort of nonsense. Just say to yourself, you're good enough. I don't sound like Stuart Smiley here, but you're in business, you're helping people. Look at all the good things you're doing. Write them down on a piece of paper if you have to see it that way. Look at all your testimonials that you have. Go to LinkedIn and see all the people who recommended you. Look at all the people who are friending you on Facebook. Look at all of this positive reinforcement that says, yeah, I deserve to be here. I have something to say. And it may not be the most unique thing. This stops people too. It's like, well, there are 10 other books written about this thing. Well, I got to tell you, how many books are written about, say, diet books? Do you think that there's room
they
for
will never go out
diet
of
book?
business.
But people will buy 10 diet books, and then they'll buy 10 more diet books, and they'll buy 10 more diet books on top of that. I have a friend, Christian Michelson, who a lot of people probably know. He coaches coaches. He's a brilliant, brilliant guy. Yeah. And I sort of asked him this question because I was at a seminar with him, and he had all these other people speaking who were competing with him. And I said, Christian, why are you have all these other people, having the same kind of book and the same kind of training program that you do? And wouldn't that cut your sales? And he said something that stayed with me for all this time. He said, people don't buy one program. They buy many programs. And they're always looking for the next bright, shiny object. So you could be the 100th book on how to write a book, and there's still a market for you. Your view may be different. Your approach may be different. Frankly, writing today is different. As I said before, no one wants to read a 300-page book. In fact, I put this question up on Quora the other day, and I said, how has social media changed writing? And someone wrote back, God, it was so insightful. She said, Google email, they have these pre-written words and responses for you now, like awesome, fantastic. Do you see that on the bottom of your screen? So when you're on your iPad and you just click one of those buttons, it's like you have to write a whole lot. It's like awesome, sounds great, And somehow they know, because they've read your email, that would be a good response. And it's cool. So she wrote in and said they're doing this so that you don't have to write this, so that anything you write is going to be higher level information that they can, mine for data. So they don't have to search for these mealy mouth words like, yeah, I'm interested, as opposed to, yes, I have a certain car, certain brand, certain whatever, going on vacation to a certain place, are a certain age, are a certain sex, are a certain orientation, are a certain race, religion, whatever, and then can sell stuff to you. So if they don't have to deal with those little mealy words like, yes, I'm feeling fine, or yes, awesome, whatever, I'll be there. They can just filter all that stuff out and go for the goals. It's like, oh my God. Jeez. It really is changing the way we're writing.
I love it.
You want to hear a great story? So this morning we have
you can tell a story. You can tell a story.
I know.
Let's hear the buzzer. Like applause for this. Let's tell a story.
There was a guy on TV this morning, and he has autism. He's like in his 30s, autistic, challenged, but very high functioning. And he can't read and he can't write for whatever reason. And he felt like alienated in school and stuff like that. Anyways, his sister was watching him, and he was dictating stuff talking, and then had it transferred to text. And she's like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm writing my book. And he just published a book, And it was like about his stories in life and autism and inclusion. And he's involved with these groups and like, he's doing really well. And I'm like, damn, like good for him. Like everyone has something to say, something to contribute. And like that, if that isn't tell you right there that anyone can write a book, I don't know what would.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's so true. You know, a friend of mine in elementary school, reminded me of a story. A friend of mine in elementary school was dyslexic, and he was a horrible speller, but it didn't stop him from going to Wharton, getting an MBA and being a CFO for a couple of companies that you have heard of. But he just couldn't spell. So why should, you know, a typewriter or a pen hold us back? If there's another way to do it, then that's cool. By the way, speaking of speaking and dictating a book, do you know that audiobooks are like the hottest market, the hottest segment of the book publishing market?
Yeah.
So if you're planning on writing a book, think about talking your book or hiring someone to talk your book.
Do you have an opinion on if it should be you or someone else doing your audio version?
That's a great.
Uh-oh. I wanted the
character
answer.
Was a woman. And so we hired a woman that I know, a great speaker, and it just made sense to have a woman speak it because the lead character was a woman. A friend of mine. Is it like an art form to do audiobooks? So like if I do my own, will I sound like an amateur because there's a certain way you have to go about it versus, you know, as long as you have a good mic and you're like hiding in your closet to absorb the sound? I think you sound great. I don't think you'd have any problems. All right. But reading a book, 20,000 words, it's kind of daunting. So, if you have the stamina for it, do it. I think my friend did it in 2 days, and the second day was like retakes of things that they knew just didn't work out really well. And that was for a 25,000 word book. So I guess you could do it in a day or two. That's not bad. So yeah, that's not bad. But there are professional voiceover people who do this. Audio. Yeah. Okay. I got to get my audiobook out. Oh, Dan, you just gave me some homework. Yeah. It's so late. It's 7 o'clock. Well, there is this guy I know who has a program that will actually take your printed word and turn it into an audiobook, but it does sound a little bit mechanical. Yeah, I know. But in a year or two, watch out, because the technology is going to get so good that you can take your voice and spin it. Yeah, Siri, translate my book. Okay, bingo. Wow. You have a book. So what would be some parting words before we head out here to get people motivated to write their book, and let them know how you can help and what you do? Love it. Okay. So the little promo. Okay. I've written a book called Write Your Book in a Flash, and I believe in branding. So that's the name of the book. It's also the name of the website, writeyourbookinaflash.com. It's also the name of my Facebook group. So go over to, you're on Facebook now, go over to Write Your Book in a Flash group, and you have to apply for review, because I know you're coming on this show, so it's cool. And then you get some special features in there, like my little tips every day, stuff like that. Okay, so what do? I ghostwrite books. I edit books, and I don't mean copy editing books. I'm the world's worst typo finder. But when we talk about editing books, we're talking about like the story about the story, where I see what's missing. I was a newspaper editor, so I can see one of my clients buried her lead, so to speak. She had a great signature story, but it was the middle of chapter 3. And I said, this is a great story. It should really be your lead story. And she said, you're right. And then we looked at it further and we said, there's an element in the story that should really be the title of your book. And she said, you're right. And do you want to hear the story? Do we have enough time? I don't know. Go for it. Okay. It's a good story. Okay. She wants me to tell the story, so I will. Not you. I mean, she has given me permission to publish it. Coming out in a couple of months. Okay. So this is a self-help motivational book for women, mothers between 35 and 50 who have kids who no longer need them. In other words, when they're 8 years old, it's like, mommy, do this, mommy, do that. When they're 18 years old, it's like, hey, mom, give me some space, leave me alone. So there's no self-help book or that's her market. She wants, so that's the lesson. No matter what topic there is, you can always niche it and niche it and niche it further to meet another market. So she's going after women who have kids who, these women have time on their hands now, and they're like, what do I do with the rest of my life? So she wrote this story. It was entitled "Sorry to Be So Gross," and it said, I have this stretch mark on me that's about 18 inches long, and it looks like an earthworm, and it's like really disgusting. But I wear it as a badge of honor because I gained 180 pounds with this because of this stretch mark. And I lost all but 20 of it. And I don't know if I'll ever lose that other 20 pounds, but I have this, and it's a sign that I have raised my kids. I thought, wow, that is powerful. I've never seen a story like that before. And I thought, that's what makes her unique. So I said, that should be your signature story. That should be the story at the front of your chapter, the front of the book. And I said, stretch marks. What is a better synonym for goal setting and going out the box and reaching further than stretching or stretch marks? So it's like bingo. It all worked. And that's what a good developmental editor brings to the plate. So she didn't see that. I saw that, and I made it better. So to me, that's fun. To me, when I get that kind of creativity, that's when I feel most alive. So that's what I do. So it's a lot of fun. As for ghostwriting, I'll tell you about another quick story. Doctor wanted to write a book about telemedicine. That's where you can deliver medicine services through a telephone or an app or whatever. It's going to be the next big thing. And he wanted to point out the pros and cons of it. But to tell you the truth, his materials started like a frequently asked question file, and that just wasn't interesting. So I said, why don't we turn to something like Who Moved My Cheese? Why don't we turn to like a business fable book? So we created a character named Samantha, who just lost her insurance and has to find new insurance, and he has to go through all this maze of finding insurance and blah, blah, blah. And along the way, she discovers telemedicine and doctors and, secret people leaking boardroom reports about the profitability of telemedicine and what they're not telling you and all that stuff. It's sort of to read like a Deep Throat kind of book. So it could be it's a lot of fun. If I threw in a couple of murders and a red herring, it could be like one of those medical mysteries. So that might be the next version. We will see. So that's what I do, and I have a lot of fun doing it, and my clients love me, and I love them, and it's really a lot of fun. So you can reach me at writeyourbookinaflash.com. If you go to the website, you'll be able to download a free chapter of the book that will help you overcome any and every limiting belief and any and every excuse you ever had for writing a book. And if I didn't address it there, send me an email, because I've heard all of the excuses.
Yes.
And if I haven't heard your excuse, I'll put that in the next edition, and I'll send you a personal email to help you there. So that's my story. That's why I'm sticking to it. And so the final word of wisdom, you can write a book. It doesn't have to be long. Don't make it harder than it has to be. It really is as easy as filling in the blanks on a paint by numbers picture. Once you get organized, if you can get organized, you can write a book. If you can't get organized, then maybe you should hire someone to write a book.
For you.
Yeah. And frankly, having someone write a book is so great.
That was fantastic.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, that was so awesome. Thank you. Lyndsay, get your freaking book done. There's no excuse now.
Hey, I wrote my outline the other day, and I got it all formatted.
All right.
Yeah.
Because Dan says it's easy and you can get it done in a flash. So you probably should do that.
So now the fire has been lit underneath me, so I'm ready to go now.
Yes. I love it.
Remember, write or die.
Woo! Awesome. All right.
Thanks for having me on your show. It's been a lot of fun.
Thanks for being on Marketing Merlot. Thanks, Mike, for joining us. I'm, of course, Lyndsay Phillips with Smooth Sailing Business Growth, helping you attract and convert more customers faster through powerful content marketing. So head to smoothbusinessgrowth.com. And Lyndsay.
I'm One Click Lyndsay with trafficandleads.com. If you need help generating more traffic and leads through SEO, pay-per-click, email marketing, landing pages, webinars, all those wonderful digital marketing things, join me. Find me at trafficandleads.com and buy my book on Amazon, The Click Technique. Hold on, Lyndsay. I have to plug. Lyndsay, I have to plug right here.
There you go.
Do it. Buy it.
Awesome.
Love it.
Okay. Don't forget, everyone, Lyndsay and I are going to be live together in person at the Dream Business Academy in San Diego next Thursday. Super excited. We might be drunk because it's VIP dinner night.
How could we tell?
You won't be able to.
No. It'll be fun. Thank you again, Dan. This was so much fun.
Bye, Dan.
Bye.